Building cabinet doors can be challenging. Here are the 5 most common mistakes. The biggest mistake when building cabinet doors is to measure and cut without being precise. In shaker-style cabinets, for example, which are very popular, the center panel must be inserted inside the rails and stiles, and the calculation and cuts must be done with the utmost precision. You will need to cut the center panel at least a quarter inch bigger on each side. A combination square will help you mark precisely all the cuts and how much material you need to remove. To cut the channel for the centerpiece into the rails and stiles, you can use a table saw or a router table. 2 passes with the regular blade are usually enough to make space for a quarter inch plywood panel. And friends, before we continue, let me say thank you for watching my videos, and please hit the like and subscribe buttons. Another big mistake is to start building the cabinet doors before choosing the style of hinges. This is because the different hinges have different ways of attaching to the cabinet and to the cabinet doors. For example, when I remodeled my laundry room, I had to attach the doors to the frame, which dictated the types of hinges that I needed. Instead, with inside cabinet doors, a different style of hinges is required. In addition, choosing the hinges before you start building the cabinet doors is important because you will not know otherwise how the hinge attaches to the stiles, and that is going to determine how wide the stiles will need to be. Another bad mistake is using wood that is too soft or of bad quality. It takes a lot of work to make cabinet doors, and using bad materials is a waste of time. For the center panel, pre-finished a quarter inch plywood will be perfect. For the rails and stiles, you could use a cheaper and softer wood like pine, but the risk is that it will blemish too easily with use and it may not be very straight. Pine also tends to have too many knots. I prefer using poplar, which is not too expensive. It is a hardwood, it's very strong and straight, and it also paints very well. Another frequent mistake is trying to build the doors of the exact measure that you think you need. Instead, it is a good idea to build them 1/8 or 1/16 of an inch bigger and cut them to exact measure later when built. If you don't do this and try to build them right away at the exact measurements, you risk that they may end up slightly different once glued up and assembled, or that you would have ended up needing them slightly larger once you install them on the hinges. And once built and you're exactly sure the dimensions needed, you can run them all through the table saw to ensure that they're all the same size that you need. Once the cabinet doors are done, another big mistake is not using a jig to install the hinges. It is possible to create the round hole for the hinge just with a drill and no jig, but it's hard to ensure that way a uniform distance between the hole and the sides, it is hard to ensure uniform depth, and it is hard to ensure that the screws are installed perfectly parallel to the edge. Instead, with a jig like the crack jig I'm showing you here, you can install all the hinges uniformly, and you can adjust the distance from the edge of the wood, making sure everything is fine-tuned, even for the placement of the screws. This will ensure much better results once you will install them. With the jig, you will also work much faster when you're batching out multiple doors, and the results will be very professional. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, I think you will find useful my video linked above on the most frequent mistakes made using a circular saw. Thank you for watching, and if you have not yet done so, please subscribe.